have Chris Feldmann with me of RONIN, Long Island, New York. RONIN, self-titled, proud New Yorker, I'm sure.
Yes,
Everybody is there.
always.
RONIN's self-titled debut record released back in January, and the lyric video for the latest single, Temptress, doing really well, over 10,000 views in just over 2 months. Chris, again, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate helping spread the word about Ronin and getting our music out there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it was good to see Long Island. I was born on Long Island, actually, in East Rockaway. So,
oh, nice.
yeah.
Okay.
I got a lot of people that are going to tune in and they're going to be like, Ronin, haven't heard them. So how would you describe Ronin music?
It's kind of like a callback to like that 90s sort of like dirty guitar sound. It's different from like today's rock music where I feel like it's very polarized. It's either like really super heavy or it's more on the poppy side.
Right.
Like we're kind of, straightforward, really not a lot of like flashy things going on, just straightforward rock music, some pounding drums, some nice tight riffs, some good like melodic type solos. If we had to describe like between bands, we're like a little bit Metallica, a little bit Alice in Chains, sprinkle some like Volbeat on there with occasionally our lead guitarist and harmonizer, Jack. He throws in like these choral moments where it's almost like Queen in a couple of songs. So somewhere along those lines, like if you're fans of like those types of bands, I feel like you'll kind of get on board with what we're doing.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I hear some Avenged Sevenfold type stuff.
Yeah,
there's a real nice mix, and it all sits side by side on the record really well.
Thank you.
Though it might be slightly different, it's very melodic and harmonies and things like that to the more aggressive stuff, but it all sits really well. It's very well done. Your biggest influences are those bands?
Yeah, Metallica, Alice in Chains, Sevenfold. At least for me personally, like each of us has our own like core influences. But as far as like the way the band sounds, I think all together, those bands pretty much sum up. Like our drummer really likes Rush, Muse, some more of like some punk bands like Green Day he really likes. Our bassist is into the heavier stuff like Trivium, Killswitch Engage, and then Jack, our lead guitarist, very eclectic grouping of influences. Tom Waits he really likes, Paul Simon, he's into like Stevie Ray Vaughan, and he comes with like such a well-rounded. In school he played music, saxophone, clarinet, piano, ukulele, so he's like a journeyman.
Yeah.
He's like the really knowledgeable music guy, and I love that he brings that sort of flavor to it. Like he likes rock music, don't get me wrong, especially now that he's in the band and he's really starting to play it. But as far as me, it's definitely Metallica, Chains, Sevenfold. I really love Volbeat. They're a newer band. I mean, newer, I say. They've been around for like 15 years.
Right.
But I use the word new. But
one of my
definitely up there too.
Yeah, one of my favorite bands. I absolutely love Volbeat.
Always a good time with them, always a good time.
Unbelievable. So good. When did the band form? It's a debut record last January. You've been around for a few years though, right?
Yeah, we I guess like the seeds were really planted on a bachelor trip for a friend, and I drove with Andrew Vitale, our bassist, drove down to Atlantic City. And on the way back, we're just listening to music, talking about music. And I had picked up the guitar in like 2014. And so now we're talking to 2016, and I convinced him, I think, to buy a bass. He dropped me off at home, went right to Guitar Center, bought a bass. And literally, I think it was like the next day or 2 days later, came over, and I was his first bass teacher, for better or for worse. Not the best bass teacher. But we just started jamming. And over the course of that year, like we started to like write our own stuff, and I started getting some recording equipment, and the two of us were just kind of jamming to like some stock drum beats to just throw down and just, layering stuff. And then we brought in his friend, Jack Lenahan, who actually did the album artwork for our album. Okay. And he was playing drums for about like 6 or 7 months. But then he was like, I really want to concentrate on my art. And we were like, sure. I'm like, we know another drummer. Brought in our friend Moss. A little skeptical at first, but I think after like the second jam session with him, he was like, guys, like, I'm so happy you asked me to do this. Like, I really, like, he fell in love with the drums. And then 2018, we recorded like a little demo, like a 6-track demo,
Okay.
in my basement. You know, decent quality for a basement recording, but nothing you'd really want to like, hey everyone, take a look. Even though we did release it on Spotify, which probably was a mistake in hindsight. And we, in 2019, we brought in Jack on lead guitar, and we played our first gig in May of that year.
Wow.
So we've been around for, you know, properly since 2019, but you know, the seeds were kind of when we started in 2016.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not that long for the sounding album that you have.
No, I mean, so fortunate where we got to record in Port Jeff at Voodoo Studios with Mike Watts and Frank Materatona. Frank was our engineer, co-producer. He always had great ideas, great input. He really helped us get a good sound. First time in the studio, like a real professional studio. You know, like we recorded in my basement, but it's different.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a different beast. You know, like you know, down in the basement there was no hourly rate.
Right.
In the studio, there's an hourly rate.
Yep,
and,
that puts a whole different
to make
pressure.
Sure. Yeah, we had like a little over a dozen songs going in, but we decided to just do 8, to just choose our best 8 that we thought sort of showcased our range in rock, like from the more pop punky stuff like Temptress to the more thrashy stuff like One and the Same, and like just to try to show the gamut. Like, this is what we're capable of. This is the type of music we like to play, you know, all across the rock spectrum. And I mean, they really helped us out a lot at the studio and just helped us get good sounds. So really, hats off to them.
Yeah, and it's a great sounding record. The mix is really good. You know, it's punchy. It's really great sound. Like you say, I mean, it covers all the bases. You guys do a lot of different things, and you know, it shows all those things, but it sits really well. I find that in a lot of bands, you know, they like to do a lot of things, but the songs don't sit well together. These do. These really, really do. You know, they're the same band doing different things. You know?
Yeah, like and production's so tricky because like there's some bands I really love, like Mastodon, really love, but something always bugs me about the production where I feel like the vocals are always so low. I always feel like, and you know, I'm sure it's by design. Like when you're a caliber of them, it's not like, oh, whoops, we made it. It's like, no, that's by design. I love the songs, I love the band, but like every now and then I'm like, oh man, I just wish the vocals were a little louder. I wish it sat differently. But that's the style. Like the latest Gojira album, I listened through Fortitude, and again, I was like, man, I'm like, I wish the vocals were a little bit louder.
Right,
it's a little too far back, and he's a great vocalist. So those little things about production, but it's all, you know, subjective. Some people like that. Some people don't like the sort of crisp, clean sound, and you have to have a good mixture, I think.
Yeah, and you know, it's a signature sign of your band. You know, Mastodon is, you know, all the levels are up, you know, and it's right at you, and that's their sound. If it was different, it wouldn't be Mastodon, kind of.
100%.
So that's what you're going for. And I personally, you know, I think that crisp, different levels, you know, with the vocals and, you know, the guitars here, and you know, that pitch is a more classic sound, and you know, that's what I get from you guys too. You know, you really tap on that, you know, that Metallica's classic sound.
Like the Black Album sort of, you know, say, you know, people feel how they do about the album and like Load, but the production value on those albums, you know, sonically was through the roof. Like that's sort of what we were raised on. So like that's the kind of type of production that we knew, and we're like, and the drum room at this studio at Voodoo Studios, that's what won us over. Really, really high ceiling, uneven walls for like the noise bouncing off. And we visited the studio, and Moss went down, set up the kit, just hit like the toms once or twice, and just felt it in the room. And he just gave me a look. I was like, well, this is the place.
Yeah,
This is the place, man.
it's like buying a house, man. You walk in, you know it's your home.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is where we belong.
Way cool, way cool. Now, Ronin, the name, right away I think samurai and Japanese culture. How did you get the name? How did you decide on Ronin?
Well, honestly, at first it was just by necessity. We were going to a gig for a band that we were going to open for in a couple of months, and they just said, like, "Oh, come on down, just like hang out." And at the time, it was just me, Vitali, and Mas. Jack would join like 2 months later, and we didn't have a band name. We're like, like we got to get something, because when we go there, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, I heard you're gonna open for them. Well, what's your band name? What band are you in?" I don't want to look like an idiot. I do that enough as it is. I don't want to make it easier. So we spitballed a couple of names, and that one just stuck out to us. I know it's like the name of the movie. There's a few other bands, like I think in the UK or
I think so, yeah,
like the Philippines or Singapore or something, where there's a Ronin band. But I was like, listen, we like the way it sounds. It's a cool visual, like we did on the cover, where it's like the samurai. And I said it kind of fits us, like after we had it under our belt for a couple of months, just our style of not really having like we're not like just metal, we're not just rock, we kind of go back and forth, and a Ronin by definition doesn't have a master.
Right.
So we're like, all right, that kind of fits a little bit, it wasn't our original intention, but I said happy accident type thing where,
totally.
It fits sort of our, like what we're going for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. Your writing process, is it a team of writers for you? Is it just you? What is your writing process?
Well, since I guess the band really started with me and Vitali, a lot of the stuff was stuff that I had written, like riff wise and stuff like that. But the final product of songs was 100% a team effort. Maybe really like the lyrics were mostly me, but with edits here and there from them, just like, oh, instead of saying this word, maybe we'll do this. And it like always worked out in our favor. For me, my songs, like they would always be a little too long. So like the other guys did a great job of reeling them back in, and like maybe changing a bridge section or changing the outro, like the order. I'll use an example of the song One and the Same.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the ending, we would go back and do the chorus one more time and then end. And Mas was like, I don't know, like it just feels like it loses something going back to the groove of the chorus. He's like, I feel like we just need like a little thing and then go back into that heavy bridge. He's like, and just end on that sort of high note. And it worked out in our favor because the song is so much better for it. But like a couple of songs we wrote together when we were just rehearsing, like one of us would come with a riff and then we'd start just kind of hammering it through. But like lyrically, we're basically mostly stuff that I had written from like old poems and stuff, and just sort of mishmashing some things together. But I definitely could not have done any of it on my own, as far as like the songs are, just because I'm my own worst like enemy with stuff. I'll just keep going.
Right.
Keep going. They're like, oh, maybe don't repeat this part so many times. Or like, you know what, that makes sense. Like it sounds a lot better, a little leaner.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's great. I think it's great to have a collaborative band effort because everybody's playing the song, so there's a feel of I have a part in this, not a hired gun.
Yeah, I wanted to feel a sense of ownership, and I feel like we definitely achieved that, where everyone really liked what they were doing on any particular song, and we try not to step on each other's toes too much in the song either. Like we kind of just try to do what's best for the song at that time. Like, oh, should I be playing this much during the chorus? It's like, oh, or maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'll play something simpler. I'll just sort of, chug on the riff for a while instead of like going all over the place. And the same with like the lead stuff. He's like, oh, maybe in the second chorus, I'll do like a little doodle at the end. Mm-hmm. Just trying to layer it, not like getting in each other's way.
Yeah. And I think I noticed that too. It's, there's not a spotlight on one particular guy. It's not like, okay, this Jack Morrell guy is just the greatest player and he's
Right.
the core of the band. You know, you get that a lot. He is a
Mhm.
great player. You hear amazing guitar solos on this record. Um, but you also hear great drum parts, man, and you hear some great
Mhm.
vocals and you hear great bass lines. And you know, there's that spotlight moves around. It's really it's nice. I like that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, that was something we talked about trying to be conscious of. Uh, you know, something like we don't try to do anything. We just try to like, yeah, I use the word try again. We just kind of play and see what happens. But
Yeah.
one of the things we really did want to be conscious about was to let everyone have their time
Mhm.
to shine. And like a song like Coming Through, it's basically like a bass solo before the final chorus, coming out of the bridge. And that's something I think he was really proud of. And I'm happy to have it. And
Totally.
even like little, they're not proper drum solos, but sections where the drum is the highlight.
Uh-huh.
And one of the same is an example of that. And it just like, no one wants to be a hog in this
Yeah.
band. We're all in it together, and it's better that way to sort of everyone be on the even playing field. But it's tough
Yeah.
because a lot of times it's a lead guitarist or
Yep.
it's the vocalist
Yep.
that people concentrate on. But
Yep.
like we try to do our best to like make everyone a little noticeable.
And I love that. I mean, I love hearing a great bass line because you know, your bass is usually low in the mix and it's usually
Right.
just carrying the song, and that's great. But
Hmm.
I love to hear a bass player up front, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, it's like
especially it, you
it's
know,
like the unsung hero of the band a lot of
yeah.
times.
Yeah, and it's not always easy to fit some kind of funky bass riff in with what you do. And you guys do it
Mhm.
well. You know, I mean that bass line's there quite often. And you know, it doesn't sound uncomfortable or anything like that. It's you know, it's an invited thing. It's really
Oh, for
great to
sure.
hear. Totally.
Like I'll use the song Down. Like the
Yeah.
beginning of that song, it's got the light acoustic guitar, but the bass line is so like beautiful and melodic at the beginning of that, and
Mhm.
it's right at the forefront
Right.
before any vocals kick in. So like that was a good spotlight. And then the song Spider and Fly,
Yeah.
where in I think the third repetition of the verse, like he starts going a little bit
Mhm.
crazier with the bass. Like
Yeah.
it sort of builds with each step. And
Yeah.
it's just like stuff like that, which just it's just nice. It serves the song,
Totally does.
and then it also helps, showcases his ability.
Yeah, absolutely. One and the Same and is a great opening track too. It's really,
Yeah,
really great, man.
it was ballsy putting the longest song to start the album.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
For
you
sure.
know, it's written for the opening track. You know, I mean, it has that whole, you know, lyrically and musically, it's just very right there. It's in your face, and you know, it's about opening the album. So,
Yeah, starting the show, yeah, for sure.
totally, totally.
Yeah, we like the idea of having that sort of orchestral intro, because we toured with the idea of having that as its own track, but
Mhm.
then winded up we're like, no, like because it flows so well into it. And one thing we always complain about on some albums, like if you're streaming them, and you're not streaming them in order, like when those like intro tracks come up, it's like because then
Yep,
they end, and then
yep,
the next song doesn't carry through, so it's like whatever. And
right.
it's just over 7 minutes. I'm like, the people that we want to hear this album and think are going to like it will be fine with one 7 minute song. They'll probably be upset that there's not more 7 minute songs. So like let's just go for it, man. No one knows who we are. Let's just give it a shot.
Absolutely, man. That's great. I love the song. Um, you also have a song called Legend of Donny Brass.
Yeah.
Really, really cool song.
Mm.
It really stands out. You know, it's a different kind of thing. Fits great on the record, especially where it is in the record. I'm an old school guy, so I like that ebb and flow. You know, and that really fits well right where it is. Tell me about the inspiration for that song. It's really cool
Well,
lyrically and everything.
this one's great because Donny Brass is a nickname that my cousin gave himself. And the legend of Donny Brass is sort of, an exaggeration of his exploits out on the town.
Okay.
So we've had many great nights out with my cousin, whether or not he's rich or he's Donny Brass. You always have a good time with him. But Donny Brass is sort of like the caricature of my cousin. So each verse, he likes to play cards, he likes to drink, and he likes to scrap. So we're like, all right, one verse is going to be about gambling, drinking, and then fighting.
Yeah,
So that's really basically the whole basis for that song,
that's way cool.
lyrically. And it came together in like one afternoon. I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, I gotta write a song about Donny Brass. And then my mind went to Volbeat with Doc Holliday.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to give it sort of like that kind of feel where it's like people are thinking, who the hell's Donny Brass?
Yeah.
And there was actually I did an interview a couple weeks ago, and a guy asked, he goes, "Oh, so who is Donny Brass?" He's like, I Googled him and I wasn't getting anywhere. I'm like, well, there's a reason to, like, he's not, technically he's not like a real legend out there, but I said now it's starting to build because people want to find out who the hell this guy is.
Totally.
Stay out of his way.
And we want to find out. And really, I mean, because it's such a cool song. It's just the lyrics in that song fit the music so well, and it's a really well written song and a great song to listen to. So if the song wasn't any good, we wouldn't really care.
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't really matter.
Right. So it's a testament to how great that song is. Really excellent. You started playing guitar later in life, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very, very much late to the party. And, I've said this a lot, but just because you're late to the party doesn't mean you can't be the life of the party. Yep. So we're trying our best to make up for, the quote unquote lost time. And I don't know why. I've always loved music. I fell in love with Metallica. I was like 10, and I was at my dad's work partner's house, and he had on the live show from San Diego '92 from their box set, and it was Lars and James, the dual drum solos going back and forth. And I remember being 10 years old. I'm like, this is the wildest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then from there, I just fell in love. And because before that, really, the hardest music I listened to was like Creed. And I'm still a fan of Creed. They've got a lot of great Tremonti, especially going to Alter Bridge. I'll follow him to the grave. Yep. But that was, I don't know why it took me so long after that to want to play guitar. But like I always sang, I was in choir and stuff in high school. I tried a high school band with Moss actually as the drummer when we were in ninth grade, but it really went nowhere. But I don't know, something clicked when I was 24. Like, oh, maybe you should start playing guitar. And it really was just kind of just out of the blue, like, oh, I just want to pick it up, see what happens.
Pretty great, man. Pretty great.
Yeah.
When did you write your first song? Were you writing when you were younger?
I've always written like lyrics and I guess poetry, I would call it. I always loved English in school, and that branched into my first stint at college was for writing at Stony Brook University over here on the island. I went for writing, creative writing, and English was my major. And I did a lot of writing, a lot of the poetry workshop classes we had to take. Lyrics came from there, just like bits and pieces. Like maybe I would take a couple of lines, and then that's really where One and the Same came from. The all I say, all I do is what I put in you was from one of my old poems from college, and then I just sort of splintered it off from there.
Nice.
Yeah, so always been into writing songs, and then honestly, the first real riff I think I wrote for myself on the guitar was the Greetings riff, and it's still to this day like one of my favorite riffs that I've written. Just like super groovy, super like blues rocky, but it moves. So pretty much the second I picked up the guitar, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, I was just kind of fumbling around. And then my buddy Andrew Gabriel, who's a phenomenal guitarist, great vocalist in his own right, took the time to have me over like once a week for the better part of the first year, and just showing me scales and how to hold the bar chord, which almost forced me to jump into traffic. I was remember not being able to just hold the damn strings down.
Yeah.
Bar chords is still like a challenge. For like,
Yeah.
if I play a couple of songs in a row that have bar chords, I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
man, I'm out of practice here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so difficult that, I mean, it's not too many, it's a gift to start that late in life and be able to play the way you do is really something. It's great.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. What was the most difficult part about making the debut record? It's you're new in the studio there, and it's had to be a little bit challenging. What was the most challenging part?
Probably the most challenging part was just the time that we were living in, which was COVID time.
Right.
But it helped us, but it hurt us. The album maybe would have come out earlier, but maybe it would have come out later, depending, because we were really starting to roll, getting gigs in like the tri-state area. We had a little over a dozen, maybe like 13, from March of 2020 through May of 2020. We had a lot of gigs lined up, and all of them had to get canceled. And we just started recording in the studio late February.
Yeah.
We got, I think, 3 sessions in where we did most of all the drum tracks for the 8 songs. I think that's what it was. I think we had 2 or 3 sessions, got most of the drum tracks recorded, and then we had to go in like one at a time because like they couldn't have that many people in the studio because of COVID.
Right.
So like drips and drabs, we were able to get in and finished in August. And then we had the album a couple months after that, mixed and mastered, and we didn't know, like, oh, should we sit on it for a while?
Right.
Should we release it now? And we were like, you know what? Let's just do a full album dump end of January. Let's start the year off right. New Year's, we did like a little teaser video, for our few people that follow us on Facebook and stuff, where like countdown to the new year, and then it was countdown to Ronin, something gimmicky like that. Even though we're no gimmicks, that was a nice gimmick of ours.
Yeah, that's cool.
We were trying to figure out exactly how to navigate it because it's tough to kind of cut through all the noise out there.
Right.
And we're like, you know what? Let's just get out there, because if someone hears one song, I don't want them to be looking for another song and then there's nothing.
Right.
And then they get tired of listening to that one song.
Yeah. And then
maybe they never think about it because it's really the flavor of the week.
Yeah.
People's attention spans. But I think people that are sort of like-minded as far as what music they listen to, I feel like they appreciate that full album. Mm-hmm. I think they appreciate, you said, the ebb and flow of an album where you listen to it start to finish and you're like, wow, okay, I understand why they put this song here and this song here. I love that the album ends on this note. It's not unbalanced. At least, in our estimation, we think we balanced it pretty well as far as like sounds and weight of a song. So really just those types of decisions was probably the hardest part. Yeah. And not playing shows. I think just killed us internally. So we had no outlet, and then we had to sort of piecemeal in the studio the album together. But luckily, like I said, Frank Matiratona and Mike Watts at Voodoo really, really helped us kind of bring it to formation.
Yeah, really excellent. Anything left from those sessions? You have 8 tracks on this record. Did you write more?
Yeah. We had about 12 going into the studio, and like I was saying, we picked the 8 that we thought we had the most polished. They were most studio ready, so we can go in there and just hit the ground running. Mm-hmm. And that sort of offered our full potential. We've got the 4 songs left over from that one, and then we probably have another 10 or so on top of that are sort of at the very least like frameworked out, like the bare bones, like how does the verse go, how does the chorus go,
right,
does it have an intro? So really it's just sort of fine-tuning. Where do we want to put the bridge here? Do we want to end on the bridge? So the bare bones of most of them are pretty much solidified.
Very cool.
But we've got some new sounds. We've got some different sections we're trying out. So hopefully we'll be able to record something within the next year to try to get a follow-up. And we're hoping to link up with a label of some kind or someone to help distribute and get on board and try to get on some tours would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's that's the goal. The goal is
Yeah.
to hopefully be able to get our music out there in person, because that's where we think we play our best, is live. And we try to bring a certain type of energy, get the crowd into it, even though most of the people don't know our songs yet. We're hoping by the time, if they ever see us, that they'll leave singing, and
Right.
just jamming along with us.
Oh yeah, no, completely. Yeah, I mean, if I saw you guys and you started playing something like Legend of Donny Brass, I mean, it's just, like, whoa, what is that? It's an attention grabber for sure. As many of them are. I noticed that your biggest audience, like on Spotify, is in Brazil and France. Why is that? Do you know? Have you done
Well,
promotion there?
we got on two playlists. One of them was a Sons of Anarchy playlist, and that's like based over in the UK. And I guess they have a big French listening base. And then the other one we got on was just like a generic sort of rock station, but it's an international playlist, I guess, whoever runs it. And the couple 100,000 people that listen, I think most of them are based in like Latin America, South America, which kind of made sense to us, based on how many big hard rock acts can go down there and sell out soccer stadiums of like 150,000 people. We figured, we want the US to be our base, but we see bands like Shinedown or Alter Bridge. They play the club circuit here.
Yep.
Maybe they'll headline a few festivals, but they go to the UK and they're headlining Sonosphere, or they're dual headlining tours over there, legit sellouts at the O2.
Yep.
So we know that the audience is out there. We just really wanted it to be more homegrown, but I mean, I'm not going to tell the people of Brazil don't listen to it.
Right. I love my people in Brazil, man. They are they love the music. They're great. They're great followers. They're not afraid to express themselves. There's a different culture for it.
They have like it's like unrivaled passion.
Yeah.
For music, and especially like heavier music, and you can see it whenever you watch like a show, like a concert from down there. Like they're like completely invested in what's happening on stage. Like their whole soul is like coming out of them, it's beautiful to see.
It really is. I mean, there's so much joy and smiles and passion, and it's just crazy. It's great to see. I wish we had more of it here. I see Spider and Fly video, and it's crazy great. It's really cool. It's really cool. And they're both lyric videos. Do you have plans for another video? And will we see the band perform in a video?
We would love to do a proper video. We're trying to figure out, who to use, because we could do it ourselves, but again, like we see the quality of the album. We made it high quality, and the two lyric videos were our drummer did. He used like stock footage and put it together and put them all together, and they're pretty high quality as far as like visually. Totally. So we want to try to maintain a certain level. Mm-hmm. So like we don't really want to put anything, because if we put the time in and like pay someone who deserves it that could put a video together, we think we could get something really good. Right. And I think a song we would love to do is Donny Brass as a music video. I think it just lends itself. Totally. You can sort of tell, you can kind of tell his story. Obviously it would be a bar setting, most likely old saloon like the Old West. So it's in motion, and hopefully if we can link up with the right people, we can get that filmed and put it out. Would be great.
That would be really awesome. Yeah. I can't wait to see that one. That would be great. Do you have plans for a tour? Are you guys going to tour?
We are starting to hear rumblings up here of places opening, looking for bands to fill slots. So we're very happy about hearing that. Yeah. And there's a couple of tour opportunities that have come across us that, we have to make a decision on as far as committing to, and we're hoping to maybe see a few more as stuff's starting to open more. I think some of the bigger bands are going to start booking shows across the country, and maybe just the tri-state area or the East Coast, and hopefully we could piggyback and get on one of theirs and open the show for them and see what happens. But that's the overall goal. Nothing's set in stone right now, but potentially, hopefully, touring the back end of the summer into the fall would be awesome.
Yeah, it would, man. And I hope you can. I hope you can make it down here to Chicago, man. That would be really cool.
Oh, I would love to go to Chicago.
Yeah, awesome, man.
For
Well,
sure.
Chris, Ronin, Long Island, New York, debut album out, all platforms, right? Where can we find you online?
Yeah, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube. You could get all the links at our band website, which is ronin-band.com. We have a how to listen tab. We have merch, and we also have physical CDs.
Oh.
If people are interested in doing that, you can order it on our website. You can hit us up on Facebook, and all we would need from you guys is an address, your PayPal, and then we send it over. And we've sold like 25 or 30 so far, which is actually not terrible because we bought them thinking we'd be playing shows, and we'd sell them at the table and stuff. It's a little easier.
Sure.
But decent demand so far for the albums, and we're hoping more people like it because again, we're students, we're born of the 90s and we love that album. Well, I like holding it.
Yeah, totally.
Feel it in your hand. It's different. Absolutely. It's a different experience.
It really is, man. And credits. I'm a liner note guy, man. I like to know who produced the album, who mixed the album, who's in the band. Right. You know what I mean? None of that matters anymore. It's like, come on. I want to pay my respects to you guys for putting out great music and enhancing my life. It's a thing. So I appreciate it, Chris. Totally. I love what you're doing. Let's get the word out and get people to listening to Ronin music, man.
Thank you so much for having me on. Again, really appreciate, need all the help we can get. We want to just get the word out there and let's bring rock back to where it belongs.
Absolutely, man. All right, Chris, thanks so much for your time, man. I appreciate you.
I'll see you.
All right, take care.